That was nice. That one was nice. Connor, you want to talk about that game?
I feel good.
All right, let's do it. Woo!
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. And I took Minnesota plus 6.5 for this one. I hedged the crap out of my happiness today. I've never been more thrilled to lose money in my entire life. We are joined by Connor Muldowney of Spartans Avenue, Spartan Shadows. Now, Connor, a great philosopher once said, "You do not applaud a fish for swimming." Look, I know this hasn't been the season we wanted. I don't want to get too ahead of the skis here and take my shirt off and start waving it around in celebration for this win over Minnesota. But dang it, Connor, this one was nice. This one was nice. We're allowed to applaud a little bit for this swimming fish, right?
You're not going to tell everybody that you had your shirt off and you were swinging around right before we started this podcast?
Had to make it decent for the live audience. I don't want to repulse everyone here. I want to keep the vibes accordingly high. So we had to get close here. But yeah, it got out of hand here.
The second half felt good. The second half felt really good. It was like if they could just do that for both halves from here on out. I mean, like
Phoenix. I know it's crazy, but like honestly, like that last 8 minutes. Starting with the inexplicable offensive goaltending on the dunk that Minnesota had that spurred us into a 15-2 run. Starting there, like that's the kind of Michigan State that you wanted to see all season. I know it's very easy to say, especially against a Minnesota team who has stumbled a bit late in the season here, but still, that is the foundation of a winning team. Just great defense on the perimeter and your seniors shutting the door. We're going to lament about them here in a little bit, but Connor, I mean, yeah, this feels nice that we don't have to sweat this Selection Sunday, does it not?
Yeah, I mean, like we should be, comfortably, and I would think, unless we, every single bid Steeler in the country somehow wins.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it just felt good to see, like, even when we were down, I think it was like 49-44, and I was like, this is, I mean, they either respond or they're just going to crumble like they usually do, and they came back with like a 7-0 run and just, I don't know. It was good to win, and it was even better to win with Malik Hall playing like 10 minutes. Like
do you just want to talk about the second half performance from everyone here? Because I mean, Connor, this was the tale of two halves, and that's been a lot of Michigan State season is looking really good in one half and not so good in the other. But it was nice to actually slam the door on this one because just like you said, Malik Hall, after being very not happy, nonplussed with his Big Ten honorable mention, saying bet, not thrilled whatsoever, lays kind of a stinker in the first half. Of course, it was draped in foul trouble, but he responds with 7 points in the second half. Of course, he's not the only senior that stepped up in the second half. Tyson Walker scored 8 points in the final 5 minutes for Michigan State. It was closing time. AJ Hoggard, not a great first half, just 4 points and 4 turnovers, but he responded the second half, 13 second half points, didn't miss a shot, 4 assists, 0 turnovers, and also Trey Allman, too, just to round up the whole game for him. Game high, plus 12 in the box score. He had 2 of MSU's 5 threes. But of those seniors, who was most impressive to you in the second half? Was it Malik, the guy you were talking about?
I don't think he played enough for him to be the most impressive.
Okay.
He was getting some like really unfortunate foul calls, like the one where Garcia just trucked him. I still don't understand how that
was crazy. That was insane. Yeah.
It was insane. That and like the goaltend on Carson Cooper that wasn't really a goaltend. I don't know. Whatever. Whatever. They won. It doesn't matter. But right. I would say probably the final 5 minutes, Walker was super impressive. But overall, I'd have to go with AJ. Like he's probably been, he's been on social media. He's been on social media. So he's seen everybody, bashing him and saying he's been the most disappointing senior point guard of the Izzo era and all that, which, I mean, it's fair criticism. He's been fairly disappointing this year. And
that's tough.
Very mildly. But, I mean, he came out and he didn't miss a single shot. He literally he looked rough in the first half with some of those turnovers. Mm-hmm. But then in the second half, when it was time to take over and be a leader, he took over and he was a leader. So if he can keep doing that, if he can build on that and not have one of his patented, like, I'm just not going to care this games moving forward, I think we're in good shape.
No, I mean, you said it brilliantly there, because we were all waiting for the AJ Hoggard that we saw to end last season finally appear here. And he did it, I mean, of course, in the second half when it was winning time. And I should have wrote down who had this graphic on Twitter, but it was a graphic of 4 games, or maybe it was 6 games that Michigan State had this season where they had a lead in the second half and then they've crumbled. Michigan State, late lead, you're waiting to see if they could close the door. And they did it the way that we saw them do it in March last year. I mean, especially against the Marquette game, where it's just Tyson Walker and AJ Hoggard play a little 2-man ball. Everyone get out of the way. We're going to set some high pick and rolls. And Jackson Kohler did himself a fine job there. And I was pretty hard on Jackson Kohler in the first half because I was one post up away from driving my head through the drywall in my own house. But I got to say, he did very well in that pick and roll. He knew his role there late. And, of course, the tip in to kind of ice the game. I don't know. There was like 5 game icing moments there late in the game. You could pick and choose which one was yours personally at home. But that Kohler one was nice. And I want to point out another player, too. This wasn't an offensive explosion here in the second half. I believe he only had 2 points. Yeah, Jaden Aken's only 2 points in the second half, but 5 rebounds. He had 2 timely steals. And Michigan State really turned the Jets on in the second half defensively because, well, they forced 12 turnovers out of Minnesota. So it wasn't just all offensive. It was defensive, too. They really just made sure that it was only going to be Dawson Garcia late in the game that could possibly hurt them. And he tried his best. He's a good player, but the defense was superb in the second half, too.
I mean, that's when Michigan State's at their best, is when someone's driving and our guards are so active with their hands that they're always, swiping at it. So Garcia had a hard time with it a couple times, and I think, Payne might have lost a couple, but that's what I want to see moving forward, is our guards continuing to do that, because when they do that, we get, dozens of fast break points out of it. So that's the key, in my opinion.
No, I don't know if you're looking at a box score right now. If you don't have an answer for this, I'm sorry to put you on the spot right here, but my favorite stat of the game that I'm looking at, and there's plenty of great stats to look at. Again, Trey Holloman plus 12 on the game. That's the high for Michigan State. I got to say, though, this is a very easy, basic stat, and this should always be what you expect, but 16 of 20 on layups, Connor.
Oh, wow.
This has been something that has snake-bitten Michigan State here in their last 5 games heading into this one, is that the layups of all shots were not falling. But this time, oh, my God, they were actually finding the bottom of the net, Connor. I could feel a tear coming from my eye right now. It was a beautiful sight to see. So that was a nice change of pace.
One of those misses, the out of timeout Carson Cooper post.
Connor, I want to be happy here, man. I want to be happy.
I had to get that out of my system. What are we doing here?
It was not a good. I had a lot of notes to rail on if we lost this game of what happened in the first half, like those post touches that only turned into Minnesota points at the other end, and that Division II transfer Jack Fox is outscoring your centers 9-3. But Connor, hey, we don't have to worry about that, man. We won. It's all happiness here in East Lansing. But yeah, I was going to be beside myself here at that first half performance if they ended up losing this game. But
when did Fox turn into Boo Booey?
Just when Michigan State takes the court. That's when.
I mean, he's literally killed us in 2 out of 3 games this year. I don't know. Hearing the words, "Oh, he's now hit his career high" in the first half of a game against Michigan State is that's the most. It's got to be the easiest bet of all time.
It's the free space on your bingo card at home when you're watching a Michigan State game. I think the announcers just have a button that says career high for enter front court player here. But hey, again, we won. We're gonna celebrate more about this here. And Connor, I'm so sorry. I got to send you to the bench right now because I need to talk about a new friend of the podcast here. It's Robinhood, gang. That is right. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you could still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at Robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC is a registered broker dealer. Also need to talk your ear off about Amazon Fire TV. And hey, maybe you caught this game on Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for basketball or the college basketball tournament about to tip off, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Now, Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences too. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date with all the latest in the world of sports, from March Madness to NBA, MLB, and tons more. And not to mention the great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, and cooking videos too. So what are you waiting for? Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this one. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/lockedonfiretv. Now let's drag the one, the only Connor Downey of Spartan Shadows, Spartans Avenue. Just the man doing all things MSU content. Now, Connor, I have to out myself as an outright coward here. I am wuss made. That's the friendly term of that. Because a few shows ago, after we beat Northwestern, you're talking with Carter Elliott, another great friend of the program. And I said, hey, let's just lose the next two and flirt with, missing the tournament, but at least we get into Dayton as that 11 seed. That's a clear path to a long March run here, yada, yada, yada. Connor, today I caught myself fist pumping so emphatically that I'm going to need rotator cuff surgery here after we're done recording, because I needed to see Michigan State win this one. I needed to see no perspiration on Selection Sunday. Am I right to be a coward and just say, fine, I don't care if it's an 8 or a 9 seed, let's just play the 1 seed in the tournament? Or are we going to miss being potentially in Dayton or a 10 seed here with this win today, you think?
Yeah, I would like to be the 10 seed, obviously.
The
path is slightly easier. I think the 2 seeds, the drop off from 1 seed to 2 seed this year is very drastic.
I don't even think it's slightly easier. I think it's drastically easier. Yeah.
I don't remember a year where the 1 and 2 seeds were so completely, 2 seeds this year are probably like a normal 4 or 5 seed on other years. It
feels like it.
It feels like that. So if we get a region where we're matched up, we get a 10-7 matchup and, Marquette's our 2 seed, or I'm trying to think who else, Arizona, we get a rematch with Arizona, or I couldn't even Duke. I don't know. Duke's probably
they could if they go on a run here. Yeah.
One, right? I don't know. I would much rather be a 10 than a 9 or an 8. But I would also much rather be in the tournament than sweating it out on Selection Sunday. So, no, you're not an idiot for fist pumping and being happy.
Thanks, man. I just needed to hear that validation from you. I appreciate that, because, look, I know that some State fans were saying that, I don't even care if they miss the tournament. And whether that was just a coping mechanism to prepare themselves for the inevitable pain, which is something that I do quite frequently, or that they truly didn't care. The streak does mean a lot to Tom Izzo, the program. Myself, personally, I think it's one of the coolest things that they have going at Michigan State. Of course, the wins are great. The banners are great. But, man, to say that even in your worst years as a program, you are still making the tournament, I think it's extraordinary. So I'm not going to compare it to a Final Four national title, but this was important, at least for me and a lot of fans over here. I can only imagine you're one of the fans too, Connor.
Yeah, all I'm worried about is that, we sneak into a tournament again for the 4th straight year, 3rd or 4th straight year. I'm worried that that's become the benchmark for Tom Izzo and Michigan State. I don't want that to be the benchmark. And obviously you don't want to miss a tournament. Yeah. You never want to miss a tournament. But at the same time, we're sweating out Selection Sunday for the 4th straight year. Yeah. And a preseason top 5 team, when is it enough for Izzo to be all right, I need to make necessary changes so my program doesn't do this anymore, So we get back to winning 3 straight Big Ten titles, and we get back to hanging banners. Like, I don't want this to become the norm that we're celebrating this, but it is something to celebrate. But it's not the only thing to celebrate.
Yeah, totally. I know it sounds like, I'm two-faced right here, but like, yeah, I'm still, disappointed by and large with this season here. Like, I'm not saying that this is the end all be all of celebration, but still it's one of those things where it's just nice to win one, or at least it's nice to smile for a day, at least this season, Connor. But yeah, like, and some of the argument that I've heard for people is like, oh, they should miss the tournament, so drastic change happens this offseason. I don't think that has to be mutually exclusive. Like, I think that Tom Izzo hopefully has seen enough that where he knows, NIT or not NIT, that this is not the standard for Michigan State. Again, this is a completely future conversation that we can and will have eventually, but I just don't think that they had to miss the tournament for changes to be made. I mean, I think based on rumblings I've heard that like they're already active in the portal with some of these early entries that you've seen going on. So just to give a heads up there, I think change will happen this offseason. And no, I don't think that Tom Izzo is just laying back in his recliner at the end of every day being like, that's right, we accomplished our only goal, and that was to just make the tournament.
I agree with you. Like, I know he's not content. Like, Izzo is probably the least content person on the planet. But at the same time, like, at a certain point, the players are like, okay, we made the tournament. Like, this is what we came here to make the tournament. And like, he talks about not being too hard on the guys every now and then with maybe it's just this specific team, this specific group of seniors. I don't know. I'm sure Tyson Walker can take an earful, and we saw Malik Hall take an earful today, but like guys like, Hoggard might just clam up when they get laid into like that. And it's, I don't know if it's just this group of guys that, he's happy to make the tournament and kind of like, we'll get a fresh start next year, but like, we're sick of every year being like, okay, now we have a fresh start. Like we just have, I don't know. There needs to be some kind of reset button, whether it's changing assistant coaches, whatever it is, but something needs to happen where, the standard of the program should be like Sweet 16 at the least, and like top 5 seed at the least. That should be the standard.
Do you want to know how sick of a person I am, Connor?
Yes, please.
I woke up today, Thursday morning, thinking that Minnesota's going to win this game. I mean, quite frankly, I had no positive vibes going into this game. That should shock precisely no one that's listened to this show lately.
Tell everybody what you had our name set as.
So instead of down here, Meshian, it had miserable man, and Connor's was going to be broken human. So that was going to be, for the YouTube viewers, that was going to be on the lower third here. So I had to do some late editing before we started recording. Connor, with that said, tomorrow, noon, against Purdue, I've wholly convinced myself they're going to win this game.
Oh, yeah.
I have wholly convinced myself they're going to win this game. And I know that sounds ridiculous for, plenty of reasons. One, like Michigan State, we have a good enough sample size to know what kind of a team they are. Like, yes, this was a nice win. And Purdue's a very good team. However, Connor, this is the rationale that I'm using here, is that last time these two teams met, it was at Mackey. Okay, Braden Smith played incredible, played an A-plus game. Fletcher Lawyer had one of his best shooting games of his season. Michigan State, they didn't even get anything out of A.J. Hoggard. All right, it wasn't even a great game for Michigan State, yet they only lost by 6. If you just eliminate like a great Braden Smith game, if you eliminate great Fletcher Lawyer shooting, and if you just get some decent play out of A.J. Hoggard and some other players in the team, like on a neutral court, I've done it. I've drank enough Kool-Aid, and I have inhaled enough March Madness air that makes me delusional every year to believe that Michigan State can win this game tomorrow.
Well,
do you want to drive over here and slap the silliness out of me, Connor, or have I convinced you that, hey, the dream's alive for tomorrow?
Whenever you're drinking the Kool-Aid, I ask for a glass. So I'm living that. Like, you've already talked me into it, and like I will further your point and say, anytime Michigan State plays a good opponent, they usually play well.
Yeah.
Anytime Michigan State plays a bad opponent, they usually play down to them. Like, you look at Baylor this year, we just destroyed them. Illinois beat them. At Purdue, we hung with them the entire time. If that was a neutral court game,
I know.
Probably win.
I know.
And what do we get tomorrow? We get a neutral court game against Purdue. There's no way that Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer have career games against us again. There's no way.
Come on. Don't be ridiculous. Of course not.
Bully Braden Smith on offense, right? Like, he has to.
Come on, please. Just once.
But I just think State plays up to the best opponents, which is like a really good quality to have. Like, they can play with anyone,
Yeah.
But it depends on, how much are we willing to let Zach Edey just cook us in the post?
Oh, a lot. Yeah.
But we need our guards to be doing the swiping, but at the same time they have shooters. Every single player on their team is a shooter. So like we could swipe at them, and Edey's a good enough passer to kick it out. So that's what worries me. Like I don't have any doubts that our guards can crash on him and take some balls away, but I don't know. The perimeter defense freaks me out a little bit.
Maybe I'm just letting the last 8 minutes of this game get a little bit too much to my head.
You did, but that's okay. That's okay.
Who cares?
Okay.
It's March.
Final Four this year.
I don't make sense in March. March just turns me into a psych ward patient. I can't stop it. I will never stop it. And somehow it gets worse every single year as time goes on. I want to ask you a few mailbag questions here at the other end of this, Connor. But first, I need to talk to people's ears. No. Go for it. Go for it. Nissan will understand.
I need someone to take a screenshot of your happy face right now.
I know.
Your face tomorrow after like a 25-point against Purdue, and just show and then making me I'm a psychopath in March. I need that. Someone's gonna do it.
Braden Smith at halftime, 16 points, 7 assists, and just putting the clamps on every single one of our guards. It's going to be great. I can't wait for it. Anyway, folks, need to talk your ears off about Nissan. Connor, I'm keeping you on the screen. The people need to see your beautiful face. This week's March Madness Bracket Highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that has pushed it further than the rest. Just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs, these guys were able to take it to the next level. For example, the Houston Cougars, they can only be described as an Armada. This top-seeded team is as hardcore as it gets out there. Our Michigan State Spartans might even be seeing them soon. Who cares? So it's no wonder why they're expected to land a top seed in the tournament after their first season in the Big 12. Or hey, take, for example, the Utah State Aggies are obviously this week's Nissan Rogue, a team that's absolutely surprised us with all the powerful performance against New Mexico, giving them the first outright Mountain West title in program history. They say win life, go Rogue, and that's exactly what the Aggies have done here. So take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Now, Connor, this is from many, many moons ago, but I asked for some mailbag questions here, and we're finally getting to them. I'm sorry, guys, if you asked this so many weeks ago and you just forgot that we thought that we forgot about you. If I can get the words out of my mouth. This is from Zach. Would you rather see Michigan State make a Sweet 16 run or win a Big Ten tournament championship? Keep in mind the senior class, besides Hall, hasn't won a championship of any kind, so it would be a nice way for the seniors to go out. Personally, I'd probably still say Sweet 16 because the Big Ten tournament doesn't really mean a whole lot, says Zach. But Connor, what would you rather see, Big Ten tournament title or Sweet 16? This is actually a really tough one in my opinion.
I would say the title, just because titles mean more to me than a second weekend in the tournament.
Okay.
Like I said, I told you before, Sweet 16 should be the minimum that the program should do. So I would like to see them win a trophy of some sort. But obviously that would mean nothing if they didn't do anything in the tournament. I don't know. That's tough. I would say Big Ten tournament, but I don't know.
I could flip-flop in this every half hour that you ask me, but yeah, I'm going to cut against you here, and I'm actually going to go with the Sweet 16, and I know that's the ultimate don't apply to fish for swimming. Our standards here as State fans, should be way higher than a Sweet 16, but it's both parts. A Big Ten tournament title doesn't really completely move the needle for me. Yes, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. If they win 3 more games here, I will keep the shirt off for that episode. I will be manic for that episode. But I think long-term, it's more important for these young players, whether it be Trey Holloman, Xavier Booker, Cohen Carr, you guys know who I'm talking about, get tournament success and also winning in March success too, because that's the ultimate goal here, is to make the Final Four, potentially one day be a national title contender. So I know the banner looks cool. It's something that you can throw in the rafters of Breslin Center, and I know that is the end-all be-all for seasons is to lift banners. But I think for me, it's either Big Ten regular season banners and Final Four banners is what supersedes anything else for me. So if you can get these guys experience with some tournament wins here, especially if it's against like a 1 seed. Like, let's say you out UConn.
Yeah.
Oh, Connor.
But
my!
You remember how sad you were last year when we lost to Kansas State? You remember?
I wanted to die. Yeah. Yep.
And I was told by a certain fan base like a few years ago that the Big Ten tournament is the real championship for the
so, who could that be? Certainly, they're still in this Big Ten tournament.
I think so. I don't know. I don't remember who it was. They haven't been relevant since, I don't think. But
surely have. I heard that their coach was a great coach and probably the best coach in the state is what I heard.
Yeah,
whether he's still employed by them by the time you listen to this podcast, but yeah, nevertheless.
Usually tripling your losses compared to your wins is not the best thing, but like I think they should give him another year, personally.
He just signed an extension. You're going to cut ties with him that quick over there in Ann Arbor? You can't possibly do that.
Hey,
he had heart surgery.
I didn't say who it was.
Oh, sorry. Am I being presumptuous here? Am I jumping a little too far ahead? Look, there's a lot of reasons to feel happy about this win and that Michigan State's making the tournament. But it is nice that finally we can point and laugh at what's going on in Ann Arbor, because nothing would have been worse than, haha, you guys only won 8 games, and then here we are just hosting an NIT game. Like, that's any better. Like, no, it's nice that we could properly, tap dance on a grave over there in Ann Arbor. So
it's a somber tap dance because we're still not happy.
Yeah, look, again, this isn't the season we wanted, but I will take happiness wherever I can find it, and I will take it in an 8-24 team over there. But again, you do have to bring him back. He had heart surgery to start the year. Like, how insensitive could you be to fire this guy? That would be disgusting.
It would be disgusting.
Connor, for this next question, what is your favorite food? Mine, of course, it's well storied, well documented that I love myself a hot and ready pizza from one Little Caesars. Not to do free advertising, but go get yourself a hot and ready this weekend, folks. What is it for you? What's your equivalent? Is it a sixer of Twisted Teas, or is it actual something that you could eat?
I mean, that does sound pretty good. I don't know. Like, are we talking like fast food places?
And like, just like your ultimate meal.
Your favorite food of all time.
As embarrassing as that may sound, like, yeah, dude. And it's not a bit either. I'm not like doing this whole shtick. I love Little Caesars, man. Love Little Caesars.
That's incredible. I mean, like,
yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you, man. Yeah. I am single-handedly funding Javier Baez's contract. So yeah, you're welcome, Tiger fans. That's right. We've done it.
Thank you for District Detroit too, by the way.
Yeah, you got it. I'm gonna put up another parking garage next week, so you got it, man.
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
I don't know, like a good pizza. Like I have a local pizza place that I really like. Okay. That's up there in like my top 3. I wouldn't say like a little. That's like saying Subway is my favorite sandwich. Like that's
Oh, again, I know it's embarrassing.
Don't tell me you like Subway now too.
No, I can do without it. But this sets up for this question. Cautiously optimistic pessimist, great name, says, what round would the team have to make it to the big dance for you to give up Little Caesars for life? Or, Connor, in your case, your favorite local pizzeria over there. What round would Michigan State have to make it to cold quit it for the rest of your life?
They probably have to win it all.
I know.
I mean, like, for the rest of my life, like, what am I getting out
of it?
If they make the Final Four, I just never get to eat my favorite food again.
Correct.
I can never crack open a Twisted Tea again.
Nope. You got to drink Miller Lite now for the rest of your life. You got to come to our side. That's right.
If they won a national title, I would for sure. I would give up whatever. I would give up, like, literally anything, probably.
I know.
Within reason. But
no, without a reason too for me over here. I'd go great lengths to see Michigan State and Tom Izzo win banner number 2. That would be,
It would have to be a championship.
I couldn't
settle for a Final Four. I've seen 7 of them. I've seen 7 Final Fours. I could have given it up any of the other times.
Yeah,
but I'm a weak man. I can't do that.
It's a twofold thing, because like on one hand, how much do you love Michigan State? How much do you love Final Fours? And then like how much do you love what you'd be giving up? So yeah, for me, as outrageous as this may sound, like I do need to see Michigan State win a national title for me to quit Little Caesars the rest of my life. I'm comfortable saying that. I know full well how pathetic that may sound and how low I'm settling for fast food pizza, but guys, it's the best. I just love it so much.
For you. I'm gonna get one today for you.
Make sure it's stuffed crust. Their stuffed crust pizza. You know what? I'm getting off this call, and I am walking to my nearest Little Caesars. Walking.
Which exactly how many miles and, probably down to the foot.
0.6 miles. Yep.
He's acting like this is such a trek. It's half a mile from his house.
I'm acting like my great-grandfather in the hills of Ireland walking to school 12 miles there and back. Yeah, that's right. That's how soft I am.
That's crazy. Half a mile.
Yeah, well paved. It's a very safe journey there and back. But yeah, that's right.
Now, so be careful.
And like I said, to start segment 2, I am wuss made. So we're not gonna act like that rain is anything to not shake a stick at. Connor, this was delightful. What are you gonna do the rest of your day here to enjoy this win, other than bury your face into some Little Caesars? What do you got here? Talking yourself more into a win tomorrow? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, probably that. I'll probably lose. I'm guessing probably 10 more bets today. I've already lost quite a few. FanDuel. Yep. I don't know. I don't really have any plans other than writing about a win is actually one of my favorite things to do. Usually when we lose, I just don't feel like doing anything. So
understandable.
It'll be nice to finally write about a win, but I don't really have anything. I'm going to get the Little Caesars for you and maybe have a few Twisted Teas. And yeah.
And just make all sorts of donations to FanDuel the rest of the day. I cannot wait. It's going to be
great.
I'm
their biggest donor, I think.
I won a nice chunk of change off them last week. I have promptly given it all back here. It's great. It's a great little banking system we have. Yeah, it's great. I'll never stop going to the bank of FanDuel. Folks, on that note, we will be back tomorrow. Maybe a shorter show. I believe it'll just be me tomorrow, win or lose, shirtless or clothed. We'll figure out what we got tomorrow after this Purdue game. But until then, hey, gang, enjoy the rest of your day. We did it. We saw Michigan State win a game and look good doing so in the second half. Go Green.
Go White.